Hello, Anakin. How are you guys doing? How are you holding up with all the chaos and commotion going on around you? You're going to be getting a video in about an hour and 12 minutes that was supposed to be up yesterday. But thank you, YouTube, for being so slow to upload. Alright, guys, let's get right to the point. All the things we're seeing, all these so-called shortages are engineered. I'm going to include in the bibliography several videos. I hope you will check them all out. And starting with the one from Really Graceful. She had, in her video yesterday, 2 people who work in the car construction business. One gentleman was doing a home improvement and drove by a lumberyard with lumber stacks as far up as the forklifts could stack them right out in the open, still covered and protected from the weather. The other gentleman that was in that video was a fellow who does long haul trucking. He's actually the one that's seen all that, with them stacked it high as the forklifts would stack them. The other gentleman was doing a home improvement project, and he drove by and seen all this lumber just sitting out, waiting to be bought. But we're told that there's a shortage and they have to charge 3 times as much as what they did a year ago for the same piece of plywood. No. The most important 2 books you will ever buy in your life are right here. Let me make sure I'm getting these in the frame. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion and Edward Bernays' Propaganda. Those are going to be 2 of the most important books you buy in your life. Why? Because they lay out, they are more like a guide of how to control a population. I'm talking complete control. There's nothing too disgusting, too grotesque for these individuals to do in the name of control. I'm also going to leave you a link to a video I did a year ago on the 16th called For Our Own Good. I went over a variety of exercises that were done behind closed doors, and irony of ironies, they played out in real life. For example, Dark Winter was done in 2001. The supposed villain was China. They released a bioweapon. Here we are, 20 years later, and what's going on? Last year, actually 2019, there was something released in America, but it got hushed up. There was a test to see how the government could control the flow of information. When that illness was discovered, it was written off as vaping illness. Last year, the same thing happened. Toward the end of 2019, all of a sudden, there's COVID-19. And it's been non-stop control, 3-ring freak show ever since. Now, what does this have to do with the engineering of the gas shortage that we've seen? Last week, we seen that pipeline get hacked, supposedly cyber terrorism. And Sunday, Jake Tapper, he knew the culprit was Russia without a doubt or evidence. It's Russia. Was no evidence. But what I can show you, and I'm going to leave you two links to videos that were taken back in the 70s when the gas crisis hit. Now keep in mind, one of the videos is going to be the early 70s. I was born in 72, so I wasn't around to remember that one. Now the one in 79, I do remember my parents complaining about the weight, the cost. What are we seeing now? The weight, the cost, and the availability crisis. We're seeing the same thing all over. The difference is, I think, how people are dealing with it. Back then, yeah, people grumbled, complained, but they didn't get out. They didn't, start throwing a temper tantrum like they would nowadays. Of course, nowadays, you may get someone shoot up your gas station. That's how frightening it could be. And would it go that far? I don't, like I said, there's nothing too grotesque for this government. Nothing. Now, in the second clip, customers asked about shipments. What are we seeing now? Customers asking about shipments. In the video from 79, the people, or citizens, were open to the idea of a ration of gas. What are we seeing now? Dex, he works with Adam Marfugel over Marfugel News TV. He was talking about there are stations that are running out in Georgia of gas. We're seeing people be open to the idea of rations for gas. They have waived certain safety precautions to get the gas that is there moved. Which means when you're on the road and you're behind somebody hauling gas, that person may or may not be fully trained to deal with a spill or an accident. Why? Because last year, when our lovely, wonderful government, for our own good, shut the country down, they put the truckers that were qualified to do this job of moving gas. They lost their jobs. No one was traveling. Nobody was really buying gas. They were not essential at that point. So they had to go get another job because they still had these things called families, bills, mortgages, or rent. They still had to work. So they probably had to go to like Mickey D's and drive, moving their non-degradable shit from point A to point B. Now, a year later, we're in a worse situation now than we were a year ago. Yeah, we were shut down. Yeah, we were forced to wear muzzles. However, we now have a situation where we have people who may not be fully qualified to move a very dangerous product, gas, from point A to point B. We have a drought out in Arizona, in Southern California. And this is going into wildfire season. This is when PG&E starts burning areas up. Do you not see the problem here? Well, if you've been watching me for a long time, you see the problem. This is a push to push people either to drive electric cars or move into a big city like New York or Detroit and not drive at all. everybody who has electric cars are going right along. Sure, they're paying $1,200 a month to charge your car, which is basically your average mortgage or rent, but they're having to charge their car for that much. But they're going to work. This is an engineered shortage of gas, just like it was in 1974 when Nixon moved us away from the gold backing of our dollar to oil, and then late 70s, Carter tried to get us away from OPEC, being dependent on OPEC. There was another shortage. What did Reagan do? When he first came in, he shut that crap down immediately. Then guess what? The hostages in Iran were released. They came home. The gas lines went away. The prices went back to normal. And life went on. We're seeing the same thing play out. This is an engineered shortage. There is enough gas. I do not believe for a minute that pipeline was hacked. I don't give a rat's ass who the White House administration said took credit for it. I don't care. This is just another manipulation to control the population. I'm going to stop there because this video is already long enough. It's longer than what I did yesterday, and that one is still like an hour away from being loaded. It is, an hour and 1 minute left to be loaded. So, your description for this video, I will include the full written out thing that I do. But I will put the bibliography down there, so if you want to go in, you want to check these things out, you can. This has somehow turned into a rant. But hey, this needs to be said. People need to look at this. They need to look at history and understand how all this happened in the 70s and how it's happening now. It was successful then, and it's going to be successful now because it's the same damn game. Only the puppets are different. The puppeteers are exactly the same. I'll see you guys later.